I think it's somewhat ironic to see some members of Congress wanting to make common cause with the hardliners in Iran. It's an unusual coalition.
All right, joining us now is one of those members of Congress, more specifically the Senate, that Obama was referring to in that statement he made, and that is Senator John Hoeven. And Senator, welcome aboard, sir.
Hi, Steve. Good to be with you.
Well, I'll ask you, were you looking to make common cause with Iran, or as Hillary said, were you looking to undermine the President of the United States or side with the Iranians?
No, not at all. Matter of fact, we're making it very clear in essentially a public statement that we're opposed to any agreement with Iran that would allow them to develop a nuclear weapon. And I think that's exactly what Americans want, is that we stand up to Iran and say, no, we're not going to agree to anything that allows you to develop a nuclear weapon. And unless you agree not to develop a nuclear weapon, we're going to keep sanctions in place.
All right, so when you hear about the Logan Act, when you see, I don't know if you saw it, the New York Daily News headline with the pictures of four of the Republican senators, such as yourself, calling you traitors, I mean, what do you, how do you react to that?
Well, I think it's unfortunate. First off, you're talking about half the Senate, basically. 47 senators is about half the Senate, and frankly, the senators signed on to the letter only after President Obama indicated that he would veto the bipartisan legislation that we're working to put together that requires that he bring any agreement to Congress for a vote. So it was done because he says, no, I'm not going to include Congress in this very important issue. And our point is that Congress needs to be part of this. I mean, under Article 1 of the Constitution, Congress has a role to play here. And you have to ask yourself, you know, here he is so willing to negotiate with the #1 sponsor of state terrorism in the world, yet he won't work with Congress. Why? Well, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, Senator, I mean, I'll say this. You don't have to agree or disagree. I mean, you could throw the Constitution out the window when it comes to this president. And yesterday, sir, the Secretary of State sat there and said, I'm paraphrasing, Congress has no role in this. They cannot change it, because the agreement, if it's reached, because it's not a legal document. What the heck does that mean?
See, that's what's so hard to understand and disappointing, and then they want to get into this kind of discussion of procedure and twist it around into something that it's not, when we should be focused on the substance, and that is that we can't have the administration signing an agreement with Iran that would allow them to build a nuclear weapon, and then at the same time seeking to reduce the very sanctions that Congress put in place to prevent Iran from building a nuclear bomb. And that's what actually, you know, what the president is doing is what increases the risk of a military confrontation, because if we don't keep the sanctions in place and end up with the kind of agreement they're talking about providing to Iran, then the only recourse would be a military strike to take out their nuclear weapon once they develop it.
Very briefly, you know, Nancy Pelosi went to Syria in 2007. Bush told her not to. Ted Kennedy wrote a letter to the Russians in '84 looking for them to shake things up so that they could help them get Reagan kicked out of office in that upcoming election. You had the letter to Daniel Ortega by Jim Wright, the then Democratic Majority Leader of the House, and 10 others, Dear Commandante, because they disagreed with Reagan's policy on Nicaragua. Double standard here, sir?
No question about it. How about the Vice President Biden himself, who was critical, going to Georgia in 2008 when President Bush was trying to negotiate, you know, the end of hostilities between Russia and Georgia. So, you know, again, it does seem like an attack on substance and misrepresenting it, rather than dealing with the real issue. And the real issue is that any agreement should be brought to Congress. It does comport with the Constitution, Article 1 of the Constitution, and Article 1 of the Constitution also includes Section 8, which relates to the Commerce Clause, which deals with the economic sanctions that Congress, not the administration, but which Congress put in place. And let's get back to what serves the American people. What serves the American people, and really everybody, is that we don't end up with an agreement that allows Iran to get a nuclear weapon.
Senator, one question. Are you allowed to have 2 email accounts on your one phone, your one BlackBerry or whatever, or do you need a separate phone for each email account?
Well, you can have multiple email accounts on your phone, but they have to be on the the important thing is they have to be on the government server.
Yeah, my question to you.
All the records are
right, sure.
Government records.
So let me, we're almost out of time, not to interrupt you, sir, but
sure.
So when Hillary says, well, I would have needed 2 phones to have 2 separate email accounts,
no.
Does that fly?
No, that's not right.
Okay, just wanted to check with people who know because we're hearing all kinds of speculation. Senator, great talking to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, folks, coming up next, Al Sharpton and 2 fires. Don't go away.